In 1983, the biggest pop star on the planet had a problem that sounds almost impossible today. Michael Jackson, the artist who would soon become known as the King of Pop, couldn't get his music video played on the biggest music channel in the world, music. That channel was MTV. At the time, MTV was exploding in popularity across the United States. Music launched on August 1st, 1981. The network had built its identity around non-stop music videos. But there was something strange about its playlist. Almost every artist being played looked the same, and it wasn't Michael Jackson. Even as Jackson's music was dominating the charts, MTV executives quietly refused to air the video for his newest single, Billie Jean. And this wasn't just any song. Music released in January 1983 from the album Thriller, Billie Jean was quickly becoming one of the biggest songs in the world. Radio stations were playing it constantly. The record was climbing toward #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Fans couldn't get enough music of it. But somehow, the video still wasn't good enough for MTV. Behind the scenes, music tensions were building. Critics were beginning to question the network's decisions. Some insiders were starting to whisper music that something bigger might be going on. Then, a powerful record executive stepped in. What happened next would trigger one of the most dramatic showdowns in music industry history. Music, a confrontation that forced MTV into a corner, and ultimately, music changed the network forever. Because one song didn't just become a hit, it forced MTV to rewrite the rules of music television. Music, and the story of how that happened is even more shocking than most people realize. When MTV launched on August 1st, 1981, it marketed itself as the future of music. The idea was simple but revolutionary. A television channel that played music videos, music 24 hours a day. No DJs, no long talk segments. Music, just non-stop music and visuals. The first video MTV ever played was Video Killed the Radio, Music, Star by the Buggles, a fitting title for what the network hoped would be a new era. And almost immediately, MTV began exploding in popularity, especially music, among young audiences across the United States. But behind the excitement, music, there was a pattern that people slowly started noticing. The artists dominating MTV's rotation were almost entirely rock bands. Acts like the Rolling Stones, Rod Stewart, Phil Collins, and REO Music Speedwagon. Day after day, the channel played videos from these artists, building its brand around what executives called a rock-oriented format. There was just one problem. Most of the artists being shown were white, and black musicians were almost completely absent from the channel. Even though artists like Rick James, Donna Summer, Music, and Prince were already huge stars, their videos rarely appeared on MTV. Music. When questioned about it, network executives defended their programming decisions by saying the channel focused on rock music. Music, not R&B or soul. But critics weren't convinced. Some people inside the industry began quietly accusing the network of building music, a system that excluded black artists from the new visual age of music. Music. After all, MTV wasn't just a channel. It was quickly becoming the most powerful music promotional tool in the music business. If your video played on MTV, your career could explode overnight. And if it didn't, you could be completely invisible to millions of viewers. Music. But MTV had no idea that a young superstar with a brand new album was about to challenge music, that entire system. And the song that would ignite the controversy was already climbing the charts. In November 1982, Music, Michael Jackson released an album that would eventually change the entire music industry. The album was called Thriller. At the time, Jackson was already famous. His previous album, Off the Wall, 1979, had produced massive hits, music, like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. But Jackson wanted something bigger, something that would push music, visuals, and performance music to a level nobody had ever seen before. To do that, he teamed up again with legendary producer Quincy Jones, recording the album across several studios in Los Angeles, California, including Westlake Recording Studios. Music. Together, they crafted a project designed to dominate radio, television, and pop culture all at once. Music, but one track in particular stood out. That song was Billie Jean. Released music as a single on January 2nd, 1983, the track had a sound, music, that immediately grabbed listeners. The opening bass line, simple, mysterious, and unforgettable, pulled audiences in before Jackson even sang a word. Lyrically, the music song told a tense story about a woman claiming Jackson was the father of her child, a narrative inspired by strange letters and rumors, and other artists who had previously struggled to get airtime, music, suddenly found new opportunities. Musicians like Prince, whose breakthrough album 1999 was also released in 1982, began receiving increased exposure on the network. Soon after, artists like Lionel Richie and others would begin appearing more frequently as well. Music, slowly, MTV's playlist started to change. Industry observers later described this moment as the network's music color barrier breaking. A shift where the channel could no longer justify ignoring black performers, music, who were dominating the charts. And the reason for that shift was simple. One video, music, had proven the audience was ready. But while MTV began evolving, Michael Jackson himself was about to take things even further. Music, transforming not just the channel, but the entire concept of the music video itself. Music, and what he did next would turn him into something bigger than a pop star. Billie Jean had already proven something the network hadn't expected. Music viewers loved the video. Ratings jumped when it aired. Requests poured in from fans, music, across the country. What began as reluctant airplay had turned into one of MTV's most successful pieces, music of programming. But Jackson wasn't finished. Just a few weeks after Billie Jean music exploded on the channel, another video from the Thriller album arrived, music, Beat It. Released as a single in February 1983, the song blended music rock guitar with pop and R&B, even featuring a blazing solo from legendary guitarist Eddie Van Halen. That crossover, music sound, made it impossible for MTV to ignore. When the Beat It video premiered, music audiences saw something they had never witnessed before in a music video. The short film told the story of rival street gangs, music, preparing for a fight, only for Jackson to step in and resolve the conflict through dance instead of violence. The choreography, led by Michael Peters, involved dozens of dancers performing tightly. Music synchronized routines inside a gritty warehouse setting. It looked more like a scene from a Hollywood film than a typical music video, and MTV viewers were completely hooked. Music. Soon, Jackson's videos were airing constantly on the channel. Billie Jean, Beat It, and later, the legendary music thriller short film, released in December 1983, became some of the most watched videos in MTV history. Music. At that point, something remarkable had happened. The artist MTV had once refused to play had become the face of the entire music network. Michael Jackson wasn't just succeeding on MTV anymore. He was redefining what music videos could be, and the ripple effects of that transformation, music, would shape the entire music industry for decades to come.